The other day I went to a party where I only knew one person, and when I walked in I said hey to everybody, and all of the guys were very receptive to my attempts to make friends, whereas all of the girls wanted nothing to do with me. And it scared me really bad, so I went and hid in the bathroom and gave myself a little pep talk, and I hid for a little bit longer because I'm kind of a chicken. I came out again to say hi again, and the girls just weren't having it, and the guys were very nice. So I hung out with the guys all night, and at the end of the night they told me that the girls were trying to secretly tell everyone that I was hiding in the bathroom doing cocaine, and that's why I was so happy and energetic. And it made me really sad just because I used to be like that. Like, not in the sense that I would accuse people of doing hard drugs, but in the sense that I used to be very just negative and judgmental, and there are things that I've learned that have made my experience, especially as a female, a lot more positive. This first one is heavy, but it needs to be said. You are not broken or wrong for this world just because you're unhappy, and feeling sadness and fear and anxiety is a completely normal and completely human response to things, especially when shit goes down. And it's not fair because some of us were just born with less happiness chemicals in our brains than other people, and I say this with a heavy heart as someone who lives with depression and who has also lost friends, including my sister, to suicide. And it gets to this point because a lot of us don't want people to see us as different, a lot of us don't want people to feel sorry for us, but the sooner we all realize that depression is a common mental illness, the sooner we're all able to expect that not every day is going to be happy, and we can find tangible solutions, and there's something we can do about it. And blocking ourselves off and isolating ourselves because we feel like it's hopeless is the last thing that anyone should ever do when they're depressed. The second one is also very important to me and a huge source of frustration to me. The amount of makeup and clothing a woman wears has absolutely zero correlation with the amount of self-respect she has. It's not the actions, but it's the intention behind those actions that is a better indicator of the self-respect. Two women might do the exact same thing, but for entirely different reasons, and you'll never know unless you are that person or know that person really, really well. So it's just fruitless to judge people and shame people and try to police other women for doing what they want with their bodies. I think we should all just love each other, and in fact, maybe just sit back one day and ask yourself, who is the depraved person really? Is it the person who dresses provocatively and is nice to people, or is it the person who wears their buttons up to here and is just awful to people? I think it's pretty clear who it is, but that is still a topic of debate for many people. You've probably noticed by now that the mainstream media does not cater to you or your well-being, and it's sad that the stories they tell exclude so much of reality, but you can challenge that and create a more dynamic perspective of women by being the most true and authentic version of yourself as possible. As long as your goal isn't to hurt people, but to show people who you are, then I feel like that's really important because the world is in need of more strong and forward-thinking women. I mean, you're out there, you're just not being heard, and I think that just because you're not being heard doesn't mean you're not important. It just means that the priorities aren't what they should be, and that should change. Humans like to test each other and kind of push each other a little bit just to see what they're dealing with and who is worthy of respect. And I've found that people will generally treat you how you allow them to treat you. So be very firm about what you will and will not tolerate, especially in relationships, because you don't want to be one of those people who just wants to make the other person happy, but so much so that you give too much of yourself away and stop respecting yourself and just start being kind of annoying to the other person, if you know what I mean. And you might get called names for holding yourself and the company you keep to a higher standard. The word bitch comes to mind, but think of it as weeding out the people who are toxic and keeping the people who are down for respect and mutual growth. No matter how good your intentions are, if you're out there doing something, there will always be those people who are committed to misunderstanding you. They'll twist your words and they'll do anything they can to tear you down. But the fact is, critics aren't anything new. Like, they've always been around and they'll always be around. So please don't lose yourself in an attempt to be likable, because people naturally fear change, and if you stand for something, which is a good thing, you'll get haters. And if you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for anything. So just be yourself and be authentic, like I was saying before. Being authentic to me is just being as much of yourself as possible without worrying and letting just the criticism get into your head. And maybe you'll be wrong, and that's fine because you'll learn, and maybe you'll be right, which is great. Maybe you'll be one of those people who's right, but the world isn't ready for it, which is, I don't know, that's pretty cool, pretty inspiring to me. That, to me, is the good way to live life, is to do what you think is right. As long as your aim isn't to hurt anybody, but to just be yourself, then that's what you should be doing. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I hope that as females, we can all just be nicer to each other and lift each other up and all of that gushy stuff. I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye. I don't need to get my validation from strangers. When women say that they do their makeup for themselves, they're not kidding. And if you want to talk beauty with me, then I just got a new stippling brush